Welcome back to Stop the Movie, I Want to Get Out. This is a podcast about some of the most notoriously bad movies Hollywood has ever churned out, and why we love to talk about them so much. I'm Alex Dunbar, joined, as always, by Jack Estabrook, Andy Wool, Cody Wool. Joined today, our first very special guest star, Syracuse man about town, Tim Ferlito, joining us for this episode.
He was so man about town, like that old fat around the house.
I think anyone who lives in Syracuse is like at most 2 steps removed from you. Like, there's no. If you live in Central New York, you either know Tim Ferlito or you know someone who knows Tim Ferlito. I can tell you that right now.
Or you sat in a chair that's still warm from
That's
Tim
right,
Ferlito.
from Tim Ferlito. Syracuse man about town.
Well, thank you. It's very good to be here.
Yeah. And we brought him in for another. I don't know why I act surprised like this every week. Like, sometimes I don't know why I act surprised because, like, someone was talking to me this, but they're like, "Why are you surprised when the movies in a podcast about bad movies are bad?" They're like, it's like jumping into a swimming pool and be like, "My God, I had no idea it was going to be wet."
Well, not this wet.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Yeah, you're like, "Oh, I didn't know it was going to be that bad."
But was this Tim Ferlito? Was this a Tim Ferlito pick?
No. This is one I.
Yeah.
I was very glad to be a part of it.
You had the DVD though.
I was loaned the DVD. That was not mine.
Oh,
I got him. Yeah,
Before we start, can we talk
But
about?
believe me, I'm buying it now.
Can we talk about how massive the shark is on the cover of this box? By the way,
like
look at the scale here. The shark is like bigger than the Titanic here.
The shark is roughly the size of a small house.
It's huge. You look at the box and you're like, I don't remember the shark being that big. Oh wait, it's not. They just did it maybe to make the shark look scarier. But I just thought that was ridiculous. I thought it was.
Well, even just just the Photoshop job on the front of the like 2 different planes.
They did
of, of dimension.
Yes, actually, they did kind of. It almost is like the shark is in front of the people who are swimming with it.
Yeah.
Did we even say yet what movie it was?
Oh,
we did.
I think they know.
Yeah, the movie this week, by the way, is depending on your frame of reference, either Jaws: The Revenge or Jaws 4. I think it's Tomato. No, either
or
way.
Jaws 4. This time it's personal.
This time it's personal.
Yes,
it
was very personal.
Very personal. Well, that's right. I mean, if someone said, "What's the summary of this movie?" I would say it's basically, did you enjoy the original Jaws, but you wanted to know more about the motivation of the shark and the psychological effects the attack had on the shark? Then this is that movie for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the thing is,
this supposed to be?
And,
By
Bruce
the
was
way,
looking pretty ragged in this movie
I've never
too, wasn't
seen.
he?
Yeah, I've never seen Jaws 2, and I know this one ignores Jaws 3. But is this supposed to be the same shark from
well,
Jaws
let's
1?
say before we get into it, is this like part of the sharks?
Is
The
it like-
first 2 sharks' family?
Yeah,
I think they're implying that.
because they never.
I think-
In Jaws
It's-
2, from what I remember, they were implying that it was kind of like that it was like the
mate.
Jaws 2 shark was the mate.
It's
It
like
was
a
the
female.
and that's why
Right.
it was bigger than the first shark and all this kind of
Right.
stuff. And these other chaps, I'm not
So, like,
too positive.
Nephews or
It's really
twice
not.
removed?
Yeah.
Well,
Great
he's getting
niece.
revenge for the entire shark community.
Maybe that.
It's symbolic.
Yeah, there you go.
It really
the
is.
shark represents.
He's making a point. Is like going to a protest in order to be arrested. It's like this shark is just like it's on behalf of
the shark population.
Well,
what is a group of sharks?
Shark Eye? I don't know.
No, I mean
Well,
like a
I
pod
would
of
imagine
whales.
it's a school.
Do sharks have
Wouldn't
a
it be a
sense?
school?
Is it cloven? I don't know.
Do they have
made
a?
that up. I don't
Do they
know.
have a sense of smell?
Oh, do they?
I think
Absolutely.
So they
Absolutely.
can smell you and they can
they
smell
sharks
your
are
family
epic.
members.
Sharks are
They
epic
can
smell.
smell blood. Yeah, so
Yeah.
They smell your family
They can
members.
smell.
I mean, like
They can smell blood lines apparently too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
again, they
So-
know what the Brodies
They can
are.
smell bloodlines.
right. That's what I'm
They can
saying. A
smell the
certain
family.
clone or something might be.
Yeah. Well,
You know, I know that Chief Brody's
Like
one of that
Drakkar
clone,
Noir.
so it must be his son.
it could be.
Something.
All right, well, let's jump into it. This movie starts as I don't know what Jaws 3, but the other Jaws movies back in the Martha's
Amityville.
Vineyard village of Amity in wintertime.
Wait, I got very
at
concerned when I
Christmas
saw
time.
it was Christmas.
Yeah, it was a
How's-
Christmas movie.
How's anyone going to be in the water if it's Christmas? I didn't realize that they're going to the
They
Bahamas.
kind of do a
didn't.
stretch with that.
Yeah.
I'd never seen
You
the
went
movie.
blind then. Huh?
I'd never seen this movie. Yeah,
And they
I didn't even watch the trailer before it.
They kind of established very awkwardly that Roy Schneider is not going to be in this movie, although his picture and his file footage
Absolutely.
get a lot of mileage.
Absolutely. The
That
shameless
picture's
Roy
huge,
Schneider usage in this film.
They
They must
hang-
have paid
Schneider,
him.
though.
Well, they
Schneider.
hang on that
Yeah,
one
it's not
picture for like
It's like
For
a giant,
quite
it's like
a
a
bit.
poster.
A long time. Yeah, I mean, it's
remember
just
this
sits
guy.
there. Yeah.
It's like lit properly too, like in the background. You walk into the sheriff's office and it's like, what do you got for me today? And he's out of focus and the picture's in focus and there's a light shining on it.
Yeah.
It's like,
But it will have like black bunting
But-
on it, like the wake is still going on.
yeah.
The first thing they treat you to, though, the title sequence.
Oh my god!
Oh my god!
I measured it.
Oh yeah. That
I used to be a
How-
judge for a B movie film festival, and that was how I knew if I was in for a heap of crap was by how long the opening credits were. The
Right.
credits for this were 2 minutes and 40 seconds.
And it's all
long.
underwater.
It's all, yeah, it's POV.
It's all,
it's
all
shark
underwater,
POV.
Let's
just
talk-
shadows on the sand.
Let's talk about messing up the main theme. Like, the main
Yeah.
theme of Jaws is one of the most recognizable themes in cinema history, I think. Now, John Williams, I'm assuming, was too expensive for Jaws 4. And they probably figured, well, who cares? We'll buy the rights to his theme, because the theme is all we want anyway. And maybe we'll hire somebody else to fill in the gaps with incidental music. Well, not so. There's, like, a slight difference. Like, there's a different dun-dun-dun type music, right?
Yeah.
And I just remembered thinking, wait a minute, what? It's dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun. That's the Jaws music. Why not open the film with that? Nope, they open the film with something else, and then every now and then you hear doo-doo, doo-doo-doo, and then it goes into this new theme. And I was like, why would you do that?
Do we have
It's
to-
like the Halloween theme. Do-do-do-do-do-do-do. It's like,
kind of like
Yeah, we're
a.
gonna get
Do we have to
sued
pay
now.
a fee now because he did that?
Maybe.
oh, I'm sorry, we have
Thanks,
to pay.
Jack.
I'm sorry.
It's coming out of
I'm
your
gonna.
salary.
It's kind of like when Vanilla Ice said, like, hey, Ice Ice Baby is nothing like Under Pressure because we got the extra beat in there.
Yeah. For legal purposes, what Jack just did was a parody. Yeah.
It was. It was.
So we got this. We find out that Ellen Brody is back in this movie, and one of Chief Brody's kids is now a cop, and one of his other kids is now a marine biologist.
biologist.
Question
Right.
mark? I don't. What does he do? I
Oh,
don't
yeah,
know.
and
what
now
he-
here's another thing.
He's
Wasn't he
studying
Dennis
snails?
Quaid in the other movie?
Yes.
He was
That-
Dennis
well,
Quaid.
this
and-
movie
This movie
ignores. Right.
ignores the
Okay,
continuity
so
of Jaws
pretends that
3.
that never happened.
Yeah.
Wait. No, I never saw 3. So wait, so Dennis Quaid actually played the son?
He plays
in the
Michael
other
Brody.
movie?
Yeah.
Michael Brody becomes
Holy crap!
Michael Brody
Yeah.
becomes a marine biologist.
At SeaWorld.
And he goes
Yeah.
to like a SeaWorld,
I
except
remember
it's like
that
an
it was like in
underwater
Florida,
thing.
yeah, it was like
Yeah.
they were like a Wikiwachi or something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
yeah.
Holy
And Louis
nuts.
Gossett Jr. is in it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
But this
great.
one has Mario.
This one is Mario Van Peebles. We'll get to that.
So one is a local cop, and
He's actually like the successor to his father. Now here's another thing.
but he's not just successor to his father.
The child in Jaws 1 is what, 3?
He's like
Oh, yeah.
4 or
Oh,
5.
That's,
yeah.
that's,
Yeah.
he's 5 at the most, and that's 1975.
Yeah.
Jaws: The Revenge is 1987. so
12
he's
years
at-
later.
He's at the oldest. He's 17, right?
Right,
Well, he
he's
should
younger-
be, but he's
younger,
clearly
right.
in his mid-20s.
Right.
Yeah,
Italy,
he's married
yeah.
and
Yeah, they basically did like the Friday the 13th thing where you're like, people, the laws
Yeah.
of aging and
Yeah.
years and like, So the one kid, I think it's Michael Brody. Which one's Michael?
Michael's the older one.
Yeah,
he's the
Michael's
hero,
the
he's
older
the hero
one.
of our film.
Okay, so Sean Brody.
Sean's the cop.
Is the whiniest cop. Oh, we get subject to this thing. Oh, my brother's a beach bum. Oh, you're just watching fish. I want to put a bottle of beer out for sale. I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah.
Get me. Like,
Kill
He's
this
a-
guy, please.
I was like, thank God.
That-
I think
yeah,
he's
that
about to
first
die.
scene
And
was
he's like
ridiculous.
Yeah.
very close to his
Well,
mom.
that whole
They're
dialogue.
like
Creepily.
They're like, yeah, I mean, like, like they're making whatever the hell they're making for dinner, and you'd think that this was like the third date, and like he's gonna get some tonight.
Yeah.
The way he's flirting with her, dancing back and forth in the
It's
kitchen.
creepy. It is. Yeah.
Seriously,
It
No,
was.
she's
I was-
a very
I was-
attractive
I was-
lady for her age. And by the way, she's in this movie. I did not know this until yesterday. That she was the wife of the president of MCA, the studio that made this movie.
Yeah.
That's why she was in the first one. She
Yeah.
hadn't acted in almost anything since the first one.
I think this was their last
And
movie.
this was
Yeah,
her
the
last
last
movie.
one, right,
She had one last. This was her swan song.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
boy!
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and
So-
that whole dialogue scene then that just was
it's-
horribly
And
written.
it's
It's
just,
just
it
on
was
the
like,
phone, it's
that
like this-
rushed exposition.
And it was
Yeah.
like,
like
grandma.
letting everyone
It was like,
know
it was like,
cringe.
okay, now I'm talking to Michael. Okay, Michael's a marine biologist. Okay, now I'm talking to his granddaughter. So now she's a grandma. It's like we got to establish all this stuff right now in the first 2 minutes, so the audience
Yeah,
is
it's
going to
just-
get confused.
It was
Yeah.
awkward and just cringing, like
Because right
just end
after
this.
that, well, because then they're like, you could almost see the studio note be like, we need to kill really fast.
Right at the
So
top.
Sean gets called out to like, it's
There's-
like
there's-
not even
There's
clear. Like,
driftwood tangled up in a
buoy,
buoy.
yeah.
Yeah, which
It's like,
somehow
why is
like
that a big
knocked
deal?
over the buoy.
Yeah.
Just-
Somehow this is
but
the sheriff's
he's knocked over.
responsibility.
Yeah, exactly.
So he goes out, and we are not going to be able to do this justice on an audio podcast. You almost have to see, if you see this movie, if you need a reason to see this movie, it's for this scene. So Sean's out there on this boat, and out of nowhere, a shark kind of jumps up and attacks him, and he falls back into the boat. But there's this moment we were talking about where he's like, what was that? I just got attacked by a shark. My arm's gone.
There's like a and then he starts screaming help, and the reason why
his own arm is gone.
And the reason why nobody hears him screaming help is because they're all singing Christmas carols.
That's like, I swear to God, I think that's the.
It's not because he's too far away.
With one of the meanest guys, directors of the play I've ever seen. He's like doing his church play. He's saying Jesus Christ.
Yep.
He's
like, you guys are
yelling at the kids.
Yeah. That's the thing that I love about like the people that live in the village in the village of Amity in all of the movies are the meanest bastards that can't let anyone finish a sentence on the face of the earth.
Yeah.
Everyone talks over everyone else, and everyone's more important than anyone else walking down the street.
Yeah.
Everyone's got to be heard.
But this guy gets attacked. And the funny thing is they lost all subtlety from the first movie, even the second one.
The
shark just comes right up, and there's all kinds of flashes of him eating, the yellow flash and all this flash. Wow, no subtlety whatsoever.
No. Yeah.
But I mean,
that shark costs money to make. So we wanted
it costs something to make.
It costs
I think it costs the human spirit of the effects department.
True. Like I said before, people who don't know that behind the scenes in the first movie, they were calling the robot Bruce. Mm-hmm. So Bruce the shark is the name for Jaws, and as I said before we started the podcast, is that in this movie, Bruce was looking pretty bad. In fact, I think I said it out loud. I said, wow, Bruce, you're looking pretty bad. Like, you could see the seams.
Oh, it's horrible.
This is the fourth movie, right? They're using the same robot. So
I don't know if they are using the same robot.
I don't know if
but it's not.
New. I think
this one was definitely
this one wasn't made well then, because it looked bad. It looked like it was falling apart.
Sean dies. And
I kind of want to go back. I'm sorry, I interrupted. But I mean,
I just want to get. Yeah. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Well, I really wanted to. You were talking about some amazing stuff when he got killed there. I mean, like, there's so many different elements in that arm getting torn off, which is just amazing. For one, the fact that he's still obviously has his like big thick cop parka on.
Oh, did you see that?
Could you see that? The jacket's
it's like his torso is obviously 4 feet wide.
You could see the
before
arm
it gets to this like you got this dang is like. And then, it ate his arm, but somehow left the entire length of its sleeve just in perfectly cut tatters hanging down, and no blood.
And we're talking about, but he's like leaning over the boat with no arm. He's like leaning over the
water. The water is red already. Before
the shark pops out, it's perfectly red.
Because that's what he's saying. He's like, wow. Shark ate my arm. Sure, he's not going to come back. I'm pretty safe to lean out of this boat.
Let me lean over here.
Because the shark can only get me if I'm near the water.
with my own blood.
Oh my God! But here's the thing. So the way that they lay this out in that, not just in the first scene, but throughout the movie, is that the shark kind of planned this. Like,
well, that's
the
what
shark,
I was gonna say.
Yeah,
but
they show after this they show like a 10-second shot of the driftwood like on the beach, and it's like, are they implying that the shark tangled this driftwood into this buoy?
Purposely, like that's what that shot is for.
Knowing that they would send Brody and only Brody out
because that's
in the middle of the night.
I didn't even think. Well, because here's the thing of it is that they imply that the shark set that up.
Right.
To kill Brody. But here's the thing. The only reason that Brody got sent out to tangle out the buoy is because the other cop was dealing with the cow tipping. So the shark had to have gone up on ground, tipped all these friggin' cows to make certain that the other dumber cop got sent over there.
And they said the Coast Guard was busy doing something else, so the shark tied up the Coast Guard too. You know what?
This is a cunning shark.
This makes the Wicker Man plan look spontaneous by comparison.
Absolutely. This is planning months and months ahead. I mean, and not only did he get everything done, but he got it done the night they were doing outdoor rehearsals for the play. So no one could hear what was happening.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh my God. It's like Ocean's 11 with this friggin' shark.
The shark was trained by the KGB during the Cold War.
So to move forward, so Sean Brody is killed by the shark, and
the mother is obviously unbelievably devastated.
Mother's devastated.
Do they imply that Chief Brody was killed by a shark?
No,
too?
they say she says,
oh, God.
the shark killed my son and my husband, and
it's like
and her other son Michael says, "No, Dad died of a heart attack," and she goes, "The fear killed him."
Oh, that's right.
Fear killed him.
That's
The
right.
fear of the
Which-
shark.
You're right. You're right.
Which
you're right.
doesn't answer. I mean, like, obviously the shark like jumped out of a closet and yelled "boo."
Right.
Yeah, I don't, that which.
Well, and then because in that same scene, I love it because she starts like freaking out, just in the kitchen, just freaking out with these cans and stuff, and she's yelling how she doesn't want anyone in her family near the water ever again because it's killed her husband and her son. No one in her family is going in the water. Literally, like 90 seconds later, they're on a ferry together.
Oh yeah,
It's like,
Yeah,
what
just-
happened
yeah.
to that?
Well,
Fear
then
of the
she's
water.
like, yeah, she freaks out. She's like, no, you're in the
basically-
water. Then they're like, Grandma, will you come to the Bahamas with us? Sure. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Basically,
Yeah,
they're like,
okay.
Wait,
basically,
the
they're like,
one-word explanation: they don't like warm water.
Yeah.
All right. But actually, here, going back, so before all that following scene, do you realize that, like, all right, he's the cop. He was the sheriff. So the sheriff's department has to call in his mom to identify the body.
Oh, right, yeah.
They force her to look at his gore. And by the way, the shark didn't eat the whole thing. She's like, an arm, that's enough. That'll get the plan in motion. Like, they had to show her dead, gored up son.
Yeah.
We're not
And, like,
sure.
you know,
We're not
in fact,
sure
like,
if
the
it's
guy
your
that like
son,
is
nah.
draping back the thing, like, you know, probably
Yeah.
has to, like, you know, buy him donuts on Thursday when it's his turn. Like, yeah, he could identify him on his own.
It was.
yeah,
it was like
or the badge that he's got.
I was
It's
saying
got his
some-
name on.
Yeah, that's his
Bad
freaking name
uniform.
right on the thing.
Yeah. I think we should just establish the reason why they take Mother to the Bahamas because they want her to get away. Like, look, it's terrible. This
Yeah,
terrible
she's
tragedy.
not
Why don't
doing
you come
well.
live with me in the Bahamas? This is Michael, the older son, who is a marine biologist in the Bahamas. So
Maybe,
that's why
yeah.
that's why all of a sudden, as Cody pointed out, no, we're not going to the water again. Okay, let's get on a ferry and let's go to.
Well, and then
Get to the
we're
plane
then
and go to the
subjected
Bahamas.
to what I have in my notes says Michael Caine Flight School. Of Michael Caine Flight School,
You
which
know
is
what?
a flight school.
I don't know if he gets many return customers. Does he?
I like that title though. That would work for a movie.
It
Michael
is, I
Caine
have not
Flight
seen
School.
flying like this since Grand
should
Theft
be an
Auto. I mean,
It may as well be just
Seriously,
like,
yeah.
it's all right.
He
Let's
just-
fly in the hurricane.
He's
you know,
just
paper
so
plane.
willing to court death with
Yeah.
like all these innocent people.
Oh, there's a child on board. Well, here we go. Let's do a straight nose dive and pull up last minute, right?
yeah, yeah. The word. No one.
Was that Australian, Jack?
That was sort of an
I don't
Australian Michael Caine. Yeah.
I don't know. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
My accents got crossed there.
Well, Michael Caine's accent has changed so much over the years, anyways. But
So we get to the Bahamas, and the scene. Andy and I talked about this beforehand. I have talked about the scene. The second craziest scene in the movie. Craziest scene is coming up at the end. I think we can all admit that.
Yeah,
But,
of course,
like,
of course.
The second craziest scene in the movie. There's a long scene of them. They're just sitting in a cab, driving from apparently the airport to Michael's house. And you're hearing someone singing Christmas carols.
Oh, yeah,
And
yeah.
you're like, what is going on? And it's like loud.
Yes.
And out of nowhere, they just pan over.
It's
the cab driver
It's the cab driver.
is holding his speaker up to his mouth, singing Christmas carols for no reason. It makes, and everyone's just sitting in the car like this is the most normal thing in the world.
It's so awkward. Like, literally, you're sitting there and it's like, oh, yeah, there's the Christmas carols on the radio because it's Christmas time, even though
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
no snow. Because now they're going to the Bahamas, and they imply, the snow gets less and less and less as they're traveling down to the airport or whatever. And then it pans over, and the guy's
And he's-
singing
and-
Christmas carols in the microphone.
Not weird at all.
Nope.
Not weird at all.
actually,
Yeah.
to go back for 1 second, if I can, to the plane. This was one line that I wrote down because it killed me. So he takes the daughter, Thea, I think was her name,
on his
and
lap.
putting her in his lap.
A strange man, of course.
Exactly. All right. So a strange man in her lap, and the kid squeals the line because, like she's flying the plane, and like there's turbulence and everything. As she's in his lap, she screams the line, "Why is it so bumpy?" I'm just like,
no.
wow. You know what? Just like there wasn't enough information about pedophiles in the popular culture back in the '80s.
was the
Now
80s.
we realize how horrible that was.
That was the 80s. Yeah.
We then learned that Michael's wife is a sculptor. I'm not-
Sculptor. I think she works with metal.
She's,
Yeah.
she's,
She's a metal
sculpting.
sculptor.
She's one of these like generic like sculpt. This is something you see a
And
lot
that
in
sculpture
movies.
she's working on was
The
terrible.
generic,
too.
The generic female-
chick.
female
The generic
welder
female welder
sculptress.
sculptor. This is actually something you see in a lot of movies.
You're
She's one of
you're
them.
really right on.
You're really right. And Cody makes a great point. Her sculpture looks like garbage.
It's horrible.
We do see the finished
horrible.
product.
Is
and
it supposed to
looks
look
bad.
like a shark? Because it looks like roadside waste. I can't believe this was commissioned.
And of course, my
By
favorite line.
the tourism travel agency.
I'm
by
gonna
the way.
wait. I'm gonna wait until a little later in the podcast. My favorite line in the entire movie involves that sculpture.
It's so bad. Well, like, and I still don't understand this. This is not me making fun of the movie. Genuine question. Mrs. Brody is freaked out by the sculpture. Is she freaked out because it's so terrible? Or
Just know
because
how to
it looks
tell her,
like a shark? I really couldn't decide.
I was
think-
looking at it too. I
I
was thinking, is that supposed to be shark? Is it supposed to be like a shark's skull, kind of? Is it supposed to be? I
Yeah,
don't know.
that's what I was
it look
assuming
like?
because the way they shot it, it was kind of like, here's her sculpture, and it looked kind of like a shark mouth. But then when you
Right.
see the whole thing,
Right, they
it looks
reveal it
nothing
later
like a
on, and it's
shark.
like,
Well,
oh,
but I
it's-
remember. I don't
that
remember what
is.
it was, but they actually said it was supposed to be like it was called like tourism in the islands or something like that.
Yeah,
It was
it
like,
was designed to improve.
I don't think it was
She's
supposed to look
famous.
like a shark. I think
Is she
that one
supposed to be
shot made it.
famous? A famous artistic
well, I
character?
think on
No.
that tiny
No.
island, perhaps she's like
I
known
don't
as like
know.
the sexiest female.
No, she's
welder
not, because there's a
actor.
line later on where she says how this is important to her
I think
career.
I think Mrs.
This
Brody.
one
Yeah, that's right. You're right.
Commissioned
You're right.
sculpture is important to her career.
And this girl, okay, let's just say this.
Yeah,
this
'cause it was probably her
this
first
wife,
sale.
This wife
of,
talks
like, more
about
than
sex
$50.
to a creepy amount. Can we just get right on that?
Oh yes,
Yeah.
Is
What?
it
Yeah.
weird how they place the sex in this movie?
It is very
Yes.
weird to place the sex in this movie.
I don't know.
It's like Christmas Day because it's around Christmas
the movie
time,
was
right?
They
so
didn't really push
boring
anything.
that they
Yeah,
had,
but
They're opening Christmas presents,
one dies
and
in
she
this
says,
movie,
"Hopefully that'll improve your sex life." And she goes, "I hope so." And she looks just wrapping her legs around her husband. I'm like, the kids are in the
And
room.
the kid, yeah, they're right there. Maybe that makes
well,
it
I
healthy.
do that all the time. Sorry,
I don't know. Like,
But-
I hope that shirt's as busy as your sex life.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, here we go. Favorite character in the movie: Mario Van Peebles with a horrible Jamaican accent. Best character in the whole film. in
His
my opinion.
accent is right out of like an SNL skit. I mean, it's like a bad parody of
Because
a Jamaican
here we go.
accent.
Michael Brody works as a marine biologist. He's studying snails, and Mario Van Peebles is what was his name? Ray.
Jake.
Jake. I knew it was a one. I knew it was a
Jake.
one. I knew it was a one-syllable common name. So Jake is this Jamaican who works on the boat. We're looking at snails.
Hold on,
and
hold
his
on, hold on.
accent is so horrible.
That's
It's
way,
a little too
that's
good.
way too authentic. That's way too authentic.
I'm sorry.
Because yeah, you
Did
need to
you-
parody that up a little
Yeah.
bit.
Did you notice though that his accent?
Oh, wait.
It kept going in. Whenever it was
Yeah.
just him and Michael,
Yeah.
it was decreased to almost non-existent.
Yes.
true.
And
There
then,
was
like, when it was a group
inconsistency.
of people, I mean, like, I honestly, I think there was even kind of an allusion to the fact that, like, you know, he kind of rastas it up when, like, he's around the other Jamaicans to kind of, like, make the job go easier or
I think
something.
that might be, or I thought. See, you might be reading more into it. I thought it was that
gotta read something.
Mario Van Peebles couldn't maintain it for scenes when he was supposed to be angry. I got the sense that he couldn't
Yeah.
maintain the accent when he was supposed to raise his voice. Like he could only do it in a very controlled setting. That's why it's so
Like, he can do it in
bad.
an echo chamber.
Yeah. As soon as,
perfectly.
Jamaican
you're
the
like
angry man.
rushing it, yeah.
Oh,
Because
man.
it comes and goes at strange times, and the two of them are another one of my favorites.
We've got this bromance going down here. Brody,
it's like-
Brody
really
and
annoying.
They
Jake.
do, but there's also like like a 5-minute argument about conch shells.
Yeah.
I mean, it's endless, and it's like, why are you?
They've gotta
why-
It's like,
Yeah,
why
it's
are you
crazy.
so angry about being able to do your job?
Well,
like,
no-
you got a grant for this.
Yeah, you're uncut.
Yeah,
and the whole time I'm hearing this, I'm
You're
like,
doing something you love and you got money for it. So
Yeah, you're a scientist. You're being
You're
paid
in
to
the
do your
Bahamas on a
science.
boat.
Right. You know, what the hell are you so angry about?
I felt like I was watching like a reality show. I'm like, why is this in the movie? Why is this stuff about the? I don't care
Just
about
to
these
make it more
conch
authentic,
shells.
he wanted to make them know, the audience know how dire this research was to their survival as students. Like if they don't get this done, they're going to lose their doctorate degree.
Yeah.
They're shot at a doctorate.
Right.
Right,
That's
so
their
yeah,
last
they
line.
did make
But
the
Jake
point
doesn't
about
seem,
that. Yeah.
Yeah, but the
Right.
But
point
Jake
is that
doesn't
Jake
seem nearly as
interested in it. That's
concerned
why-
when he finds
that's
out,
why they're
of
fighting.
course.
Oh, he doesn't seem concerned. Yeah, that's my next note. I mean, Mario Van Peebles is the first person, I believe, to see the shark in. Which my cat. The
Wow,
cat is interrupting the
freaked the hell out of
podcast.
me.
Yeah, he
What,
wants-
is the shark
So-
here?
Seriously?
Something's coming
yeah,
out.
that's the shark. He's coming
It's
through.
personal.
Mario Van Peebles is the first one to see the shark in the Bahamas. He's in this little submerged sub, and this starts a whole trend.
Oh, right,
When
he
people
sees it
see
first.
the shark in this
But
movie,
before-
no one is concerned
It's
by it.
it's the least deadly shark I've ever seen. I mean,
Well, I mean,
it kills people.
people aren't freaked out. Mario People's first reaction is to just get on the walkie-talkie and be like, "Hey, we've got a big fish down here, man."
Yeah, right, yeah.
Well, yeah,
Really?
and I
It's a
thought
giant
freaking
shark
huge.
coming at you,
And
and
I
I
thought
a tiny
because-
submarine.
This is a 35-foot long shark.
Well, yeah, and
Yeah.
I actually wrote the note down when I was watching it, when he was underwater, you could tell the shark was coming. Like, oh, Jake's about to die because he's underwater with the shark, and you figure this is the
He's
fourth,
isolated. You can hear him on the radio. This is a great opportunity.
Right. This is the fourth movie in the series. The body count would be higher, but he comes out of the water. He's like, oh, there's a shark down there.
And this is the first time.
Well, let me just do when then Michael Brody sees a shark. The shark like pops out of the water right in his face.
Yeah, trying to eat him.
The look in his face is
it also roars.
and it kind of roars.
Right now, the shark roars.
Yeah.
The look on his face is like the same look I would have when I'm at like the deli counter at a supermarket, like ordering roast beef, like just totally bored.
Yeah, him and both of the other two guys just one up in
like,
the ring. There's one next to him.
They're just kind of
and
looking at
A
him.
giant shark in the Bahamas.
Oh wow!
It's like-
Look at there's something like really have no interest in it. Like,
But they go back to the first time with Mario Van Peebles. I think that's like when they first imply that Ellen Brody has some type of connection with the shark.
yeah.
She knows it's there.
Yeah.
Because she decides.
She's doing the
knows it's-
festival.
She decides.
Well, before the festival, she's like on the beach with a grandchild, and she kind of walks in the water.
That was when this was.
And she
That was a few minutes.
and she's looking out like she knows the shark's coming.
Well,
like
she like pops up. She's like,
what's going on
like,
here?
I can hear the shark.
yeah, right. She knows
Okay,
it.
what's going on here is that Ellen Brody decides to take her mind off of it. She actually starts dating the Michael Caine character, whose name is
Hoagie.
Hoagie. So Hoagie, speaking of roast beef,
Which by the way, I was reading that Michael Caine couldn't accept his Oscar that he had just won because he was shooting.
He was shooting
Jaws
this
4.
movie.
absolutely
Great choice.
yeah.
Well, you ever
Well
read
played.
you ever read the quote that he has about Jaws 4?
Yeah.
Like where he says, like, I've never seen the movie. I understand it's terrible, but I've seen the house that this movie bought, and it's very nice.
There you go.
But she goes on a date. On a date, she goes to some festival with Michael Caine.
Yeah, this
so
is
now this
before
is a
that,
subplot.
though. See, this is
This
before
movie's
that.
Well, yeah, but she has multiple premonitions
Right,
of the shark,
right.
Wasn't she on the date
That-
with Hoagie when she has the premonition?
Not the
No,
first
this
one.
is
No,
the first
that's
time.
later.
Then the
the
second
first
time
one.
we're just talking about
didn't
when he
realize
pops
she
up.
had
Then
this
she has
movie.
that premonition.
Got
Like,
it.
something's wrong again. Like
Yeah.
the first time is
Well,
like
she was by this point. I was really annoyed with her character too. By the way, she was constantly whining and just complaining.
And
about
the
shark.
mood swing.
And
Half the time,
Yeah.
get out of the water, honey. The other half of the time, it's okay. Let's run around the
Yeah,
water and
let's
make
play on the
some
beach.
games.
Yeah, I know we're probably getting out of order, but like that scene where she's with Hoagie at the carnival, which I found out is like this is something they traditionally do. Like it's like their Boxing Day. It's the day after Christmas, and like she's like she knows a shark attack. It's like the camera zooms in. She's
Right,
she's clutching her chest.
That's the second time,
it's
right.
dread, and then she shakes it off, and then just like
Right.
invites Hoagie to dance with her.
Good day.
And Hoagie's totally like,
It's like someone has
What's
died,
happening? Yeah.
but I feel the jungle rhythm. I
Time
feel the
to-
beat.
Time to samba.
That's right.
yeah.
But we were going back to the original shark popping up, and I was, I guess, just lucky when
Was
I
the water
saw
red
it
too? I seem to remember the
No.
water being red inexplicably several times.
several times, but not in this
okay.
one. Not in this
Not
one,
the first time,
unless the side of the boat was bleeding.
Okay.
But I was really lucky. Did anyone notice the rod and the
Yes.
track that it was on?
No, I didn't.
And like I saw it like
Yeah.
immediately
when it popped up.
Yeah.
the
Not
first
just
time?
when it popped up, but when it was going past Mario Van Peebles. It's like
Oh.
there's like this metal rod coming out on a railroad track.
Oh really?
Just going right past them.
It's totally
I missed
visible.
that. No kidding.
Totally
It's
visible.
like
Yeah.
there might as well have been a
Wow.
commuter like chasing after.
Yeah.
It was just like right on the
Yeah.
rails.
So at this point, everyone or a lot of the characters have now seen the shark in the Bahamas. No one's freaked out. Nothing weird about this shark that apparently is trying to kill the Brody family.
And they mentioned that it's not common in Bahaman waters.
Not common
So
at all.
these marine biologists should already be concerned merely for that purpose.
So what does Michael tell Jake? Mario Van Peebles, he's like, don't tell anyone about this. Because you don't want to tell anyone about a possible bloodthirsty shark that is following your family from Martha's
Like
Vineyard
one that
to
is
the
eating
Bahamas.
want his
like
mom to
an
find
eighth
out.
of your boat just now.
His mom's been ragging on him to not go in the water anymore.
Yeah.
To quit his job.
Yeah.
So he's like,
Oh,
don't tell
oh,
my
man.
mom.
Well,
Don't tell my mom, man.
because secretly they're going to study the shark. Jake wants to study
Well,
the
right.
shark. He wants to kick the snails out. He wants to study the shark.
that's the point we haven't made yet that Alex just said. The shark followed them from Amity
yes,
to
it
the
did.
Bahamas.
I was going to say, wait.
How do you know their travel plans? I have no idea.
Plus, what? But like 4 days have passed. The shark swam. I don't know
think
how
it
many
was 4
thousands
days.
of miles
I
that
think it was
is.
2 days.
It was 2 days.
Is it
It
2 or
seems
3
like it was like
days?
2 days, yeah.
So he swam from Amity down to the Bahamas.
1,500 miles.
1,500 miles.
Yeah.
Which
You
I
knew
mean,
they would
like,
be there.
So you go like
it's so
80 miles
insane.
an
It's
hour?
almost not even worth commenting on. It's like so bizarre.
Right.
I think this is for the movie to make sense
Is
in
there two
my
sharks?
own head. No, for me to like stay
wish it was.
sane, I think this is how I made sense of it. The shark is working with the bad guys from Abduction. Okay.
So put a bomb in their oven.
And he's tapped into all of the computers and travel records in the world.
Oh, so
and
you
he's
knew-
listening
he
in on
got
their
that
cell phone
all the cell phones.
conversations.
And he got like a high-speed hydroplane transport from those bad guys down to the Bahamas.
Okay,
that's how
wow.
I made sense of it. I don't know if that's really what happened, but
Actually,
that's how
I really
figured it
prefer
out.
the idea that there were just two sharks. It's completely coincidental.
True.
It's just like, holy cow, one in a million.
Maybe he paid off the pilot from Wicker Man to fly him down there.
There you go. There you
or
go.
Shark Network.
No.
Shark-
Here you go. Here you go. Some old lady mailed him from Amity to the Bahamas. So
As a joke
Oh,
gift.
yeah.
yeah, it's a joke gift.
As a joke.
It's a joke. Yeah.
Oh, actually, by the way, going back to the original thing, did anyone notice the cameo from the Mrs. Kintner character from the first
Yes,
Jaws?
I did.
What?
I did.
I noticed
Yeah.
that.
What?
It was
Yeah.
literally when
Yeah.
Michael shows up there after Sean dies and like
She's playing the same character.
she's
Yeah.
playing Mrs. Kintner. She's
Yeah.
I mean, so it's like the two of like somehow come back together, maybe perhaps in their woe and grief of both having lost a child to a gigantic shark. How small is that sorority? And but yeah, that was her. But they also implied the fact they knew each other for a long time because the daughter runs up like hi, whatever, like Thea, good to see you.
I didn't even know that was Mrs. Kintner.
That
I
was
didn't
her.
think
Like
about
the
that.
problem is the windows behind her. It was
Oh, yeah.
lit so poorly.
Blown out.
Yeah.
Like you couldn't even see the detail in her face. But that was
Maybe
her.
she was embarrassed to be in the movie.
I don't know.
I think she could have used the bread. I think she would have liked to have been seen again.
I suppose so.
But yeah, she
Okay,
was in that.
so now we know that they're attempting to tie it into the first movie beyond shameless flashbacks to Roy Schneider.
Yeah.
So
Actually,
Well, then-
I'm choosing to believe now that Mrs. Kintner just trapped the shark. Like she's just been like
Yeah.
being like,
She's a
screw you,
mastermind.
I'm not your friend. She's like the worst
there
friend
we
of me.
go.
Oh, she
Traps
blamed-
the
she
shark
blamed-
That's a
and
good
mails it down
story.
there.
She
She
blamed
told
Brody
the shark.
for- yeah.
She
Exactly.
told the shark. She's like, my kid got killed 3 movies ago by this shark. Now I'm gonna get. That's the revenge.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
it's
This
called.
time it's Brody. We figured out the tagline.
Yes.
We figured out the tagline. It's Mrs. Kintner.
That's
It was
right.
personal
Her
for
revenge.
her.
That's right. She smacked
Yes.
Chief Brody in the
Yeah,
first
she-
one.
she-
Oh,
Yeah.
because she
man.
blamed
She's
him
been pissed ever
because
since.
because
right.
she
So-
he let the beaches stay open anyway.
By the
That's
way,
right.
that
So she was
inflation
probably out cow tipping then.
she could have been the
That's
accomplice.
it.
Yeah.
Makes perfect sense. She did the cow tipping, right?
Yeah.
And she's the one that alerted the shark to the fact the Brodies were going. So the shark got the head start.
Exactly.
Because who knows how long the funeral preparations where the shark began his long swim.
Exactly. So it had 4
Long
days
before they
rather than
left.
2.
So it had
That makes
had a head start.
That makes more sense than anything in this movie.
it does, doesn't it?
That we just say, yeah.
Let's
wow.
rewrite.
Miss
Just
Skinner
rewind.
had to have packed that lunch of shark because otherwise.
I
it
don't know,
kinda
where were we
stopped
now?
it.
I don't know where we
We're
were.
so off the rails right now.
Actually,
I
here's,
didn't-
right, here's
Where
the
are
right.
we?
So all the
Okay, I should
characters.
say- Let's
get
so
back to
anyway,
the
so all
film.
the characters know. Well, some of
There's
the
a whole lot
characters.
of nothing happening here.
Whole lot of
That's the
nothing.
problem.
Good point. There's
Yeah.
a lot
Yeah,
of
there
exposition.
is.
There's a lot of
There's a lot of dates between her, Ellen and Hoagie,
Which are gross.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
creepy. They are kind of creepy.
I got 46 minutes into the movie. I wrote, "Is anyone going to die in this movie?" Because there's no.
Well,
shark
seriously, there
attacks.
has been nothing since
Right.
the first kiss.
This is supposed to be a horror movie.
Because everyone knows about the shark, and now instead of dealing with the shark, all of the characters go to casino night.
That's right. It's New Year's Eve. They're at casino night. Yeah.
And there's this intricate scene where if you don't understand the
then
rules
Hoagie
of
starts
craps, nothing makes sense.
Oh yeah, no, it wasn't even craps. It was a baccarat. He was playing baccarat.
Oh yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, it's really confusing. Oh, and,
But-
Well, and for some reason, there's this storyline too where Michael doesn't want Ellen, his mother, dating
Hoagie.
Hoagie for some reason.
Does Hoagie transport
But
drugs?
there is a deleted storyline where he is. It's implied that he's like transporting drugs
he
to
flies
or
drugs
whatever,
for yeah.
But
And
it's not
apparently in
this
the
movie.
novelization, because back in the '80s, every friggin' movie
Right.
had like its a book that you could buy,
Right.
troll book
Tie-in,
list,
yeah.
and
Yeah.
you could get that. But I wrote down. Does anyone remember this conversation? It was Michael Caine's character Hoagie telling a story, and it was so freaking bizarre that I
It
had.
sounded like the. Are you talking about that sounds like the Dark Knight story?
No. But this is exactly what he said. And what could I'm going to read it to you and try to figure out what was the precursor, what was the beginning of this story that we're only catching the end of. And I'll do the accent. He says, so I asked him, where's the disinfectant? He said, I've left it in town. I said, what are we going to do? So he says, I'll tell you what we'll do. Come back at lunchtime. All the flies will be in the kitchen. What the hell led up to that?
Yeah.
And the only thing I can think of that could not have been written, that had to have Michael Caine just telling a story from his life.
All right, just roll the camera.
It's like,
just
Michael,
roll the
just
camera.
make something up, Michael.
I'll do something. Just roll the camera and I'll tell a
Exactly.
story.
It's like,
right?
I don't like what's in here, director. It's like, I got something better, you know? Seriously, you're going to fucking love this. You know?
I think
It's
that
sheer
about
brilliance.
I think that about all of Michael Caine's dialogue in the final third of the movie. That he was just like, I'm not doing this, you know, and just didn't just said
Well,
his
but
own,
there is
wrote
one-
his own dialogue.
I was laughing because there was one when he was telling a story where he's like, I was in the jungle and blah blah, and it sounded like the story he was telling in The Dark Knight to Bruce Wayne about the
About the bandit
I was like, wait,
Burma.
is this the same story? Like,
So then,
well, and Michael keeps having to these dreams about the shark, and I think Ellen did at some point too.
Ellen
She,
did.
like,
Yeah, she
wakes
did.
We've
up
had
in
a
the
couple
night.
times in the movie,
Yeah,
someone's
I'll
swimming,
never
the shark attacks them, and
yeah.
then they wake up.
There's one,
Yeah.
and one of them
They do it at
happened
least twice.
They had to add some scares.
Yeah,
so.
54 minutes in, there was one, and that was my stop the movie moment when I was like, okay, there's too many shark dreams. How about you actually have shark attacks? Because this is a shark attack movie.
well, yeah, and
I was
let's
so bored
actually.
by-
Let's kind
Shark
of
dreams had
let's
to have
jump
been a
ahead a
Duran
little
album.
bit. Yeah, it's. Well, it's because the dream was really dream sequences always frustrate me.
Yeah, right, yeah.
That one infuriated me because I'm like, this movie's dumb enough. We don't need a dream sequence on top of the stupidity you're already pounding at me with. Let's kind of jump ahead to like, you know, there's another encounter with the shark where basically the shark turns into like Jason Voorhees or Michael Myers.
Right, they start trying to lure. They're trying to lure it now to him.
Because
They don't wanna study
because
it.
Jake wants to study the shark,
Right, so they
much
start-
to Michael's.
So now they're
dismay.
chumming it. They're chumming and all that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And doesn't come out. It comes out again.
It
Well, what
comes out-
happens is he goes down into the water.
Yeah.
Because earlier in the movie, Jake goes down in the water and
Right,
he
he's
sees
down,
the
right.
shark.
Right.
We think it attacks him. He comes up. He's fine.
Right, it attacks
A
his little-
couple weeks later, now Michael's in the water and the shark comes to attack him and they pull him up.
Yeah.
Which is the line of dialogue that I loved. Was one of the many lines of dialogue I loved. Is he's like, why didn't I don't like being down here? Why didn't the shark eat you? And he says, maybe he likes the white meat.
Yeah.
Yeah, grown, yeah.
God.
But that's
Grown.
when. That's right. So that happens that night. He has another shark dream. That's when
Another one.
Comes. So then the next day he's like, I gotta get back in the
I
water.
gotta get back in the
because
water.
I'm terrified. And
Yeah, that's
Gotta
right.
get
That's
back
right.
on that
Yeah.
horse.
He says, I gotta get in the water.
Which
Why?
he basically
The
might as
shark
well
will
have
kill
said,
you.
I gotta get back in the water. Why? The shark's trying to kill you. Because the script says I need to get back in the water. I mean, like, that's basically...
Page 68, right
Yeah.
here.
And this
According
where-
to the script,
and
I
then
gotta
he-
get back in the water.
He's scared by an eel.
But I was just gonna say, this is the
What,
new,
that was
the
the
new cat
scariest
scare
part
is
of
the eel scare. 'Cause
That eel
they're in the
was
water,
big.
so they can't be a cat, so there's an eel scare.
Right, I was gonna say-
Is this the scene where the shark chases him into the sunken ship?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
amazing.
It's brilliant.
Which-
I wish I
a
was in a
sunken
theater and
ship
saw
that has
Wait, when does that
simultaneously
happen?
iron and
Happens
wooden
here.
walls.
Yeah, yeah.
After
yeah.
he's scared by the eel.
Yeah.
Because it's like think of it this way. Think of it this
to
way.
bust out of the mini submarine.
Think of it like walking. Yeah,
Yeah,
think
no,
of it like walking through.
That's before though.
It's
That's
like walking through the haunted house, and then the cat jumps around the corner.
Yeah.
eel
it was an
scare
eel
is the
scare.
second
Yeah.
time.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
The,
when he's
the
because then
first
the shark
time he,
comes
the
out.
you're
first time
right,
he,
you're
he
right.
busts the
Okay.
submarine up, then he goes through the
Okay.
ship and all
Yeah.
that. Yeah, and then blows his tank and comes up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which, by the way,
Doesn't
Was it-
decompress
That
at
was
all.
actually like, yeah.
Which also, by the way, you cannot do that.
No,
with
you'll-
a tank. That,
Yeah.
that would you cannot. If anybody ever
ridiculous.
wants to try that move, that you cannot
Well,
do that. With
I think
scuba
till you blow your
equipment.
freaking eyeballs
Now I'm
out or
just
something. too.
disillusioned.
Then you like
Yeah.
you got to decompress when you come from that far down. Or
Yeah,
not.
yeah.
I don't think he was
You get the
that
bend.
far
He wasn't
down.
that far down.
He
you don't think?
wasn't that far down.
It's
The
far
bigger
enough
issue
down.
is like a scuba tank will not. They make those tanks so you can't turn it into a rocket. I mean, so you don't. You know, like it just you can't do that.
But yeah, so that's what it was. So the second time, then he says, "I've got to get back in the water," and there's the eel scare.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is actually the most terrifying
Because-
moment of the film.
Because that eel scare, there's a whole bunch of things that happen afterwards that don't make any sense.
And by a whole
Yeah.
bunch of things, do you mean the rest of the movie?
Yeah, pretty much.
Because I agree with
Because
you.
there's the eel scare, right? And then
Yeah.
we cut to his wife is having the sculpture dedicated.
Yeah, there's the next scene. Yeah, yeah.
Well, yeah.
That ridiculous sculpture.
Yeah,
Well,
and,
which-
and they're not there. And you know,
'Cause-
Because they're on the boat.
no, they're not in the boat
I'm just
because she
realizing
steals the boat.
how
That's what I'm
hard it
saying.
is to
There's-
keep the
no,
continuity
she
of
steals
the
the
film
boat.
this bad.
Well,
as
I'm so
or-
lost right now. Wait a minute.
Her husband's not there on the most important day of her career. Her husband's not there, but he's not in the boat because the boat's in the bay because Ellen goes and steals the boat right after this.
I can't remember
Yeah.
where he is
So
there.
where was her
It's
her
never-
husband?
Well, I think that was just like a random boat. I don't think that was like.
No, that was their boat.
That was their boat.
Because
Oh, yeah, it was their boat.
they
Yeah,
get
yeah,
a little
yeah.
dinghy or something to go after him, and then Michael Caine's like,
Well-
I got the plane and get there faster. You know,
Yeah.
Well, I
this
think-
whole
Yeah, it was
I think-
sequence makes no sense.
Well, I think what the movie is trying to imply, and I'm not really even totally sure of this, is that there was a wacky, like, comedy of, like, they missed each other in passing. That, like, while those guys are racing back and being like, oh my god, we got to get back there during the whole banana boat attack, that then, like, they miss each other. I don't know.
But there wasn't.
No,
well, the
because-
shark wasn't out there. The shark's on the shore now, attacking
yeah,
the little
because,
kid.
Because when he's looking for his mother,
Yeah.
we're getting way ahead right now, but when he's looking for his mother and he realizes she stole the boat, he goes to Jake. And he's like, oh, we got to go find my mother. And Jake's like fresh out of the shower, and he's like, doesn't have his shirt on.
Yeah.
Because he's just hanging out in his house.
What a rotten bastard this husband is. He didn't
Yeah,
show up to
we're
his
there.
sculpture.
Well, so
Most
let's-
important.
He wasn't there.
Well, let's jump ahead to that. Okay, so
I know we're out.
so his
I know,
so
this is
his
ridiculous.
yeah, so his wife is getting this horrible garbage sculpture dedicated
By Melvin Van Peebles.
Melvin Van Peebles. Best performance in the movie, by the way. And
I believe he was dedicating a statue. I
yeah,
really did.
And he didn't. He's like laughing at it. I'm
He
convinced
was.
Melvin Van Peebles thought this thing was trash, You know? And he was like, "Oh God, we're gonna be throwing this out next week." And so while they're dedicating that, there's this. Tell me, you guys didn't laugh at the banana boat shark attack.
Well,
I mean,
yeah,
tell me you
first
didn't
of all-
laugh because it's just.
First of all, he's
it's
singled out
staged
this-
as funny.
Yeah. The shark, of course,
None of
knows that the
it was
daughter,
framed bad.
that a Brody is on the banana boat, so he singles out this one banana boat.
They let the granddaughter go out and play in a
Yeah.
banana boat
Yeah.
while the garbage
While the
sculpture is
dedication's
being
going on.
dedicated.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the shark attacks it,
Yeah. Misses the girl, though.
misses the girl, because for all this intricate plan that the shark has, he's so
You can't
And
aim.
is not interested in any other person.
Right.
No.
It's-
No,
And
the
that
water's
just wants
filled
that
with-
little girl. Just wants a
water's
Brody.
filled with
Well,
people.
yeah,
Just
gotta-
the
gotta
bloodline,
get
that's all it
Brody.
wants.
Yeah, but
and can't catch up with a banana boat that's moving at about 2 miles an hour.
But the thing that I love just how, like, unfortunately, because, like, obviously it missed the little girl, but it got the woman sitting in the very back,
Just
who
'cause
has to launch herself into the shark's mouth.
But did it eat her?
Huh?
Did it eat her?
Yeah, it got
did.
her.
Oh, it did.
Oh,
It
it did.
got her.
Okay.
And,
All
like,
right.
it's
There were
seriously,
two
like,
kills in the movie. This is kill number
like
two.
Oh, I thought
watching
I
the
thought it ignored
creative
everybody
editing
else.
taken to make it not look as though she literally had to
Force
jump
herself
into
into
the
the
mouth.
Yeah,
I,
they
I,
slowed it
I
down.
literally laughed out loud when
Yeah,
that
they
second
slowed it
attack.
down. She's like falling slowly into the.
Yeah,
into
like
the shark's mouth.
like the shark can only kill people that are off balance. That's all
They don't do. The shark can only kill people who lean
Who are leaning
into
over a
his
boat, who are leaning off of a boat toward his mouth. I mean, like, it's
shark,
they got more
quick,
than half
dive
their
in.
body mass
The
over,
shark is
you
like,
know.
Could you lean over
A
here?
little further.
I'd like to kill you, but I need you to come a little closer to me, please.
Which I find amazing.
I don't have arms.
This shark has the ability to, like, you know, keep its, like, the majority of its body out of the
Right,
water,
it's like a
better
dolphin.
than any dolphin alive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, so the attack in the banana boat, the granddaughter survives, which sets into motion what, in a normal movie, I would call the third act. This really defies
Right,
But
structure.
before we get to that, I mean, like, we were talking
you know what?
about the sculpture and everything. Does anyone remember the scene where it's just the husband and the wife in her work shed
Yeah.
as she's working
Yeah,
on
they're
the
like
well?
fighting
Oh,
about
yeah.
the garbage.
yes. My
Just-
favorite line of the movie.
Isn't that a beaut?
They get into an argument, which of course then becomes sex. And during this argument
About taking
about
the trash
nothing,
out.
I don't even know what it is. It's about
Taking
taking
the
the
trash
trash
out,
out.
yeah.
So it's not even important
It's
to
like
the plot at all.
we need 5 more minutes in this movie.
She turns on her welding torch like, screw you, I'm gonna weld. And then he says, oh baby, basically saying you look so hot when you weld. So she's got the flame up, and he says to her, and I quote, I've always wanted to have sex with an angry welder.
Right.
I've dreamed about this since
That
I was
was
a
a
small boy.
I know, amazing.
That's a quote. I was
Ew.
like, stop movie.
And again,
That was it.
something else that I feel was in there simply because that was like a real line said by someone involved in the movie at some point in their lives. Hey, you know what you should say right now? Hey, my wife would get a real kick out of this.
It's so yeah.
Ellen finds out. Ellen and Michael's wife find out that he has been holding this information about the shark. That
Well, Ellen
he
doesn't,
knows there's a
'cause
shark.
Ellen takes off on the boat.
I just realized we were wrong because they were on the boat during the sculpture thing.
No, they weren't.
Shut up.
They-
Let me
no, they
talk.
were.
They
They
were
were.
on the boat.
She
Yeah.
jumps on the boat right after
She
the banana boat.
Wait, let me talk, please. They were on the boat. The daughter gets attacked. They take the daughter back to their house. It's Ellen, the daughter, and the wife.
That's right.
And then he comes back. Michael comes back from the boat,
Put this in right now.
and he's like, "Okay, go ahead, because you'll prove me correct." He gets back from the whatever they're doing, and he's like, "Oh, what happened?" And oh, she got attacked by a shark. And he says, "Oh, I should have known this was going to happen." Of course, because it's a shark.
Yeah, of course you know, because you knew a shark was trying
And
to
that's
eat
when
you.
when Helen gets upset that he was holding that he wasn't that he knew there was a shark, didn't tell anybody. She runs off to the boat, and that's when she steals the boat, takes the boat out to the ocean.
I'll have to put it
Yeah,
again.
please do.
So
I swear I
then-
remember.
But then we've got to.
The wife just yelling at him. You know about this?
But
And
then-
then he ran out to chase his
No.
mother, who took the
She
boat a
ran
while
out.
ago.
Yeah, well then, right. But then, we've got to get
I
to
think.
brilliant
I'm not-
strategy.
my brain isn't working.
So
maybe you're
Mrs.
right, because maybe it was the wife and the
It was the wife and
Jake's
some
wife.
and Jake's wife, and
I
she.
don't know.
Because
We'll have to put it back in,
Jake,
'cause I'm confused.
Jake was like, the guy was like, "Where's my mom?" And she's yelling as he's around the room.
Right.
You knew about this.
Right.
Basically, okay.
I honestly
It's
couldn't
even
remember
hard
what
to know who it was because
Yeah.
everyone is just shrill, idiotic female. That's
So,
like
yeah.
So, and to move it forward, what happens is basically Mrs. Brody is out in the open water
For the face-off.
for reasons
She's-
unknown.
Well, she's
frankly.
had it. She's going to face this.
I mean,
But how
obviously-
is she gonna? But
she's
how
going to put
she-
an end to it.
But how?
I
I guess,
assume
I guess the shark
What's-
eats hers.
but
Don't.
what is?
don't.
But here's my question: what is her plan?
I think she's just
that she's going to
sacrificing
get.
herself.
Yeah, she's going to get.
I
eaten by
think
the
it's a
shark
mother's guilt.
in the end.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, so then Jake and Michael Brody take off in a small
little dinghy.
rowboat
Yeah.
with a motor
Like,
on
we're
it,
gonna catch her.
and they, in trying to catch up with her in this little tiny rowboat, they come across Michael Caine, who's like, "Gotta fast away," and
Yeah.
they.
You're like, how?
Oh, and then they do
pilot.
that. Then they do the lamest cut. I hate these cuts. I got to fast away. How? And they're playing. Oh, I hate edits
But
like
think
that.
about this.
Oh, it drives me
What
nuts.
is their plan? Now, in that moment, think about it. What is their plan? Why are all three of them in the plane? What are they going to do if they see her?
It's not an
What are they-
aquaplane. He can't land and pick her up
They,
and get to safety.
they answer that, don't they?
No, but why did all three of them
That
go
was
in the
their plan.
plane? Why didn't they say, hey, you know what? Hold on. One of us go up in the plane and the rest of us will stay down here so we can actually...
Or I'll call the Coast Guard. You guys go. I'll get the Coast Guard. We'll get out there. Or-
What was the point of all three of them being in the plane?
I don't
Because when they see her, they're like, oh, there she is. Well, we're in a plane.
I don't know that there's like probably at this point in like the script writing process, someone said, well, "What's the point of having them on the plane?" And like someone said, probably just said, "Oh, well, they're not thinking. It's fast. It's in the moment.
Right,
they don't know what they're
right.
doing. There you go."
Yeah.
Because then they have to crash land the plane into the water.
Again,
to
from the
save
Michael
her.
Caine flying school.
And
Lesson
it-
of
Which
life.
You
comes
realize
up-
they wrote into the script that a plane that they're going to have to buy is going to get ruined.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
because they crash in the water, and immediately the shark eats the plane.
Well, close to me. Yeah, right. And one
Yeah,
of
oh, yeah.
one of the things that pissed me off is he flies by the shark, scares it, crashes his plane. Mm-hmm. People bail out, and what's he do? He gets on the wing and makes a joke. Oh, you people are always passengers are always complaining about things.
And, but then he busts out with the best
And then the shark-
oh shit in any movie I've ever
I know,
heard
but
ever.
seriously, if you're
that 1 second makes this
If you
whole
crash your
movie
plane-
so worthwhile.
you crash your plane, there's a big ass shark in the water. You're gonna get out making jokes like that? You might-
I'm telling you.
he laughs
Oh,
in the face
I
of danger.
just-
He's
I-
It's like James Bond,
I think
that's all.
I think Michael Caine refused to go. He was
Maybe.
just like, I think he just was like, here's the thing, Joe Sargent. I'm going off script. When I say off script, I mean like I threw out the script.
I just won an Oscar in antiseptics. I'm here, so
Like I'm
Yeah.
inventing all of my own dialogue.
Oh, wouldn't that be
from this
amazing if
point on.
like the day he started like doing all of his own dialogue is like the day after he won the Oscar?
Yeah.
He's like, all right, Joe.
You know,
I
Mr.
got it."
Director, I got an Oscar. You know what you don't have? A bleeding Oscar. I'm going to do whatever I want. And you
Actually-
can't stop me.
Did you look up the IMDb for the director Joe Sargent by any chance?
No.
This
Oh, yeah.
is the last feature film
Well, I
that he
imagine so.
directed.
I imagine
Yeah.
He's
so.
directed a lot since, but it's all been TV movies.
Yeah.
Well, what,
Yeah.
did he
A
direct
lot of-
anything of note beforehand?
Yes, he directed The Taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3.
Which-
the original,
which-
which is amazing.
Yeah, which is actually
Really?
a great movie.
If you can make Walter Matthau into
Seriously.
an action star, then
Yeah.
you got chops. And
Yeah.
he ended it with Jaws: The Revenge.
Yeah. This movie
One bad
pretty much.
script just
Well, I mean,
screws
we'll
you.
take a break from the movie. I mean, this movie pretty much sank everyone's career. I mean,
No pun intended.
I mean, Joseph Sargent never made a theatrical film again. I mean, Lauren Gary, went back to
Lance
obscurity.
Guest didn't do anything.
Lance Guest, who I love in The Last Starfighter, and I can't knock him too much because
No,
he is
I
the
like
Last
him.
Starfighter.
I genuinely
Yeah.
like him.
This basically ended his run as like an actual kind of like movie actor. I mean, he still works. I mean, he's still a working actor, but he hit. I mean, everybody fell off after this. I mean,
Yeah, Lorraine Gray there just kind of...
Mario Van Peebles.
I mean, Mario Van Peebles, I mean,
Couple
sort
of
of hung
crappy action
around,
movies.
but I mean, this really was like it for almost everyone involved in the film.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Even the island of Bahamas.
Even Bruce couldn't survive
Yeah,
this
sure.
one.
Yeah.
So the shark ate the
Bruce.
plane.
Yeah,
Shark
let's
eats
get back to
the
the
plane.
crazy
Shark eats the
ending.
plane.
here.
Shark
And then-
eats a plane. I mean, that's just.
But
I never thought I'd ever see that.
We have to talk about. I was going to mention really quick, the most famous gaffe in this movie. Michael Caine somehow survives the shark eating his plane, but not him.
Right.
He gets out of the water into the boat.
Dry
Well,
as a
Dry
bone in
as
the
a-
desert.
I mean,
Do you know-
he
do
is
you know
not
why,
wet
though?
at all.
I was reading it's because the water that they were using, they had to put blue dye in it to make it look like the water in the Bahamas.
Because at that point they're shooting the tank.
And so the water was dyeing his and Lorraine Gray's hair blue. So when he got out of the water, he couldn't come out of the water because his hair would.
Yeah, but
why
couldn't
you couldn't
they
just
get a
blast
bucket
a
of water?
bucket of something
They-
on
yeah.
there?
Dump a bucket on them.
Here's a bucket of fresh water. Let's dump it on
Well,
you.
it's ridiculous. You see him climbing up
Right,
the
he's just-
water. I mean, the ladder out of the water, and his shirt looks like it just came out of a dry.
Like it's
Right.
beautiful. I mean,
I think he cracks
like
another
it's
joke, too,
crisp
doesn't he?
where
I
it
think
falls.
so. Yeah, he gets
And
a-
but
cracks
the
a
thing
joke.
is, that, like Michael,
Shark ate
I also
clean,
read
no
that Michael
joke.
Caine says in addressing that gaffe, he also said, like I read about the blue dye thing, but he also says, like, well, I was actually wet, but it was taking so long to get onto the shot. By the time they were rolling the cameras, I was completely dry again.
Oh, well, that could be.
Who
And
knows?
then, and again, the non-stop Michael Caine crappy joke train keeps on going with like they're talking about the plane or something. He's like, oh, maybe you ate too much fatty food. You know, I mean, again, you're all in danger for your lives. The shark's trying to eat you, and he is just cracking jokes non-stop.
So Jake here comes up with some plan to put some transmitter into the shark so that they can mess with the shark's mind
Now,
by
did
setting
he
it
put
off. I don't know what
put
happened.
explosives on it or not?
No, that's
No.
yeah. We'll get
Let's
there.
establish this now.
No.
Yeah.
He puts this. It was supposed to. Whenever they hit the thing, it was supposed to like go off, and it confuses the shark. So the shark
Yes.
didn't know.
Yeah.
So he does. He
Well,
come
the-
up with this plan where the shark. They're waiting for the shark to come out of the water, and he was gonna throw this thing in the shark's mouth with a spear or whatever.
You know, and the whole thing was not
Wait,
to kill it or
wait,
not to
think-
do anything, just to disorient it.
Yeah, and he's
Now,
standing
wait, I
on.
want to go back for a second. Cody, say again, just so we can fully appreciate how stupid this movie is. What? Tell me, describe
standing
his
on-
plan again, and
yeah.
think about this like normal human beings. Like,
He's standing on the edge of the boat. On,
Uh-huh,
on
I'm
whatever
with you.
That's called. I don't know what that.
okay, makes sense.
That
Okay.
prow.
Yeah.
Yep.
He's standing on the front of the boat with a spear
Sounds good.
with the transmitter or whatever it is. on the
Perfectly
end of
normal.
it.
Yep.
Then
Good plan.
They're waiting for the shark to pop out of the water, which
I like
it
what,
does,
I like how you're thinking.
and he's gonna shove this thing down the shark's throat.
Yep, sounds
Somehow this goes wrong.
I mean, think about that. They're waiting for the plan is to wait for a shark to pop out of the water so you can shove essentially an oversized
Into its
toothpick into its mouth.
And somehow it goes wrong, and he falls into the shark's mouth.
Well, the
Which
thing is,
you see him in the shark's
plan, the plan also.
Right. You just summed it up. He falls into
Again.
Wait.
The
Well,
shark-
Off balance.
Let's not even get
Off
to that
balance.
again. Yep, you're right. But let's not even get that far yet. Let's not even get that far. All right. Let's actually kind of work backward a little bit. All right. So they're all in the boat,
Yeah.
and there's a gigantic shark out there,
Yeah.
and the whole thing is. And does anyone remember exactly how it is that the engine became damaged and started taking on water? I mean.
They never. No,
I think it just
that's
stopped-
never
it just stopped
explained.
working.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
Like
they-
all of a sudden,
the
they're stranded, you know. And Michael Caine's got to get in there. He's got to start fixing the engine. The two of them go down below.
Well, you know what
what's
it is?
the
I think
plan?
Well, you
The
know-
first,
and you know
the
what's
shark
going
jumped
on?
up when the plane zapped him. I think actually the shark hit the boat.
Oh, the shark jumped
I
out.
think.
Well,
Remember, the
basically,
shark jumped up
So,
and then
but here's,
plane-
how is it going to destroy the engine
Right, in
without
the middle of
crushing
the-
the entire hull of the boat?
And again, like they basically turn this into an episode of Law and Order. Like you know, in Law and Order, when like whenever the cops are interviewing someone, they always have to be doing something like active. Like
Yeah, good point. No one's
it's-
ever just sitting in a chair.
It's like lazy directing. Like they were like, well, we got to Michael Caine doing something. What can we be doing? The bottom of the boat's filling up with water. Mike, here's a bucket. Just start throwing water over the side. Well, you'll be busy doing something, so you're not all just standing here in a boat, staring at
Waiting for
each
the
other,
shark to
waiting
eat
for a
this guy.
shark to jump out of the water. It's
So,
like a whale watching
The two
tour.
of them go down below, and the whole. Sorry, so they start working on the plan. Melvin Van Peebles. which people's
Mario.
he says Mario
Mario
the Peoples.
Younger.
I
Yeah.
wish it
His
was Melvin
accent
Van
is
Peebles.
completely gone. His accent has been eaten by the shark.
It's gone at
He's
this
talking
point.
like he's from East St. Louis at this point, like like a Midwestern accent.
Yeah.
And so the whole plan, really, at this point, which actually is frankly not a bad plan, just get him to swallow this thing. Forget about that, but just disorient it. They don't want to kill the shark. Let's just get the hell out of here. But here's how we can do it: throw this thing, which is still really not the sound signals,
Yeah,
the
the
sonic signals,
frequency,
the
yeah,
Electrons are
yeah.
going to confuse
They're
the
gonna
shark's
confuse the
navigation,
shark.
natural navigation system or whatever.
Yeah, that's exactly it. So I just wanted to come back to, because there's a few different really good things there, but the plan, like you said, is to put it on the end of this gigantic spear. The thing about that is, how is he going to really ensure the fact that the shark is actually going to go for it, but that he is
Not destroy it.
He's not going to destroy it in his mouth, and he's going to bite the end of that spear off completely cleanly,
Right.
and be able to swallow,
And just swallow it whole.
that
Yeah, right.
as well.
Right.
So there's a lot of ifs in there, and I just kind of wondered, why couldn't they just throw it in?
Right.
Couldn't just
Because he had
throw
been
it
knocked off balance.
into the mouth. You could still have him off balance at the end of the
you got to
prow.
hang over the end,
Just stand
edge
up
of the
there on
boat,
the end of the
'cause
mast.
You would think you
But
would
just
be a lot
shove it in the
easier
gullet.
to throw it in. Yeah.
Particularly because when you look at that shark, did you notice they didn't even bother manufacturing insides? That it was the mouth and then it stopped. It's a perfect. It's like someone just cut it off with a knife and shoved it in.
Yeah.
Like it just goes down into a gigantic black chasm. There's no throat. There's no stopping anything. It's teeth and gums and then a hole.
Yeah.
But
It's kind of like almost the end. To give Tim's example, it'd be like if I was like, all right, I got to throw out this big pile of junk. Well, let me put it on the end of a piece of stick and poke it into the trash can. No, I'm just going to throw it in the trash can. It gives me a lot more opportunity.
So Jake is now in the mouth
Shark's
of the shark.
Oh my
Dragged
god!
in.
All the way
There's a shot of
across,
him
I mean-
being.
Yeah.
There's a
'Cause
shot of
once
him.
again,
All he's got to do is a little pressure, and those teeth are going to rip him to pieces.
Oh,
Well,
he's
there's a
clearly-
shot of him
yeah.
being.
There's blood all over the place.
There's a shot of him being dragged in underneath, down into the water, in the shark's mouth,
Under the water.
bleeding.
Yeah.
He's dead.
Because once
he's-
again in the movie, another character has fallen into
Yeah.
the shark's mouth.
So he's dragged underneath the water.
Great
At this
bouts
point-
of blood. Hold on. Did anyone notice that the stuntman being dragged underneath the water by the shark was a white guy in blackface?
Yes, I did notice that. I did. I'm. You know what?
notice
I'm
that?
glad you mentioned it.
And
I was
Somebody
like,
call Jesse Jackson right now.
And then also, as it's being dragged down, one of the sideburns was flopping off from the water.
Yeah, I was
So,
offended on
I
several.
didn't watch it
different
that
levels.
closely, I guess.
Yeah, it's
At this point, this is where things just get crazy. Ellen starts having flashbacks. She has a flashback, a sepia-tone flashback to her son's death, which she wasn't there for.
Well, she wasn't there for, right.
Then she has, and this is where it just happens. Then she has a flashback to her husband in the first film when he shoots the shark and kills it. When he's saying, "Smile, you son of,"
Which obviously
And then-
just shows the fear that he had of the
Right.
shark, which caused the heart attack later
Right.
on.
Which she
but
also,
she also was not there.
She wasn't
for
there,
not
right.
there for.
Right.
So
She saw the movie, though.
So as soon as she has a flashback, he shoots the gun, and then something crazy happens. You see a piece of wood hit the shark, and it just explodes.
Massive
The
explosion.
shark explodes. The same exact explosion and shot from the first film.
From the
by
first
way.
film.
The
This is-
same underwater shot of
same
the
underwater
shark,
shot.
The shark
settling
falling
to the bottom.
down into the
The shark
ocean.
explodes. The boat disappears. It's just gone.
Yeah.
And Cody's description is perfect. This is the most confusing sequence
Yeah.
I've ever seen.
I had to watch it twice, 3 times.
in a motion picture. I have 4 pages of notes in this movie.
I remembered it ending differently,
Well, we'll get to the.
and
Well,
we'll explain that.
Yeah, we're gonna get to that after. We're gonna get to that. I mean, I have a page. My 4th page of notes is all questions,
Yeah.
and it's all based on the final 4 minutes of this movie. And it just goes like, wait, they hit the shark with the boat. Wait,
And
the
I didn't
shark
get that.
blew up. I mean, the shark
Yeah.
exploded.
I had no idea that until I saw the alternate ending. I had no idea that they hit the shark with the boat. It just
Well,
looked like
I thought that. But
I didn't even get it because
But you're not gonna blow a
because
shark up with a-
Right after this, when the shark explodes, the boat disappears. They're all in the water.
Well, the boat also explodes.
disintegrates. Yeah, it
The
disintegrates,
shark
yeah.
and
yeah.
the boat explode.
But and then
Well, it's like matter and antimatter.
But
When
then
boat meets shark, they
immediately,
cancel each other
though,
out.
immediately though, Jake pops out of the water alive, just
Who's
completely
been
fine.
Who's been underwater for
Right,
a
like
solid 10 minutes.
Really close. Really
Not
close.
to mention the fact,
Bisected.
not
Shark's
to mention
mouth.
the fact that he was
Really? Yeah.
dragged under said water by a hungry shark
And
with
he's
blood
in
spurting
very
everywhere.
close proximity to these two very large explosions.
Yeah.
He comes out of the water just cracking jokes like, "Hey, I'm
Yeah, again,
I'm
cracking
your
a joke.
Jamaican buddy, man.
So,
Yeah.
so I thought like he somehow did something, like he was still alive and he like jammed something in the shark. And I was just so confused.
Well, they're trying to make it like when in the first movie, you think Richard Dreyfuss is dead, but he comes
Well,
back
that's
up.
the thing.
But,
But
it's
he
believable
had a tank
because he was
accident.
in
No,
no,
you watch- you saw him go and hide.
He's underwater hiding.
Right.
It would be as if Quint came out of the water.
Yeah, you're right. It's
I was like,
oh
"Hey,
my
I'm
God,
okay,
it's-
guys."
I
He's
didn't
right,
think
he's
about
right,
that.
yeah.
It'd be
Right.
exactly
That
like
would be-
Quint popped up at the end
Right.
and said, "Let's get to shore,"
Yeah.
or like, "I'm too
Made a
old for
joke.
this shit,"
Yeah.
you know?
And in my sick viewing this movie, I'm waiting for like Mario Van Peebles' character to like say something that's gonna make sense, like, "Hey man, forgot to tell you, I threw a grenade in there." I don't know what he's gonna say. But I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm looking at him like, explain to me.
Somebody
What?
explain.
Why? Somebody explain.
I watched the last part of the movie. That part of the movie, I watched that 3 times, convinced that I'd missed something.
Yeah.
And like trying to listen to when he's like, it's this and it does this, it throws off the shark.
Yeah.
And I was like, did I miss a line about but be careful with that?
Yeah.
That's why they had to put it on the end. It's like otherwise it'll blow up in his hands.
Right, nope.
Put it on the stick. No, just wow, blammo.
It's like the
And
boat.
then-
The boat doubled as like a fireworks delivery boat or something. Like, was it smuggling like illegal fireworks from Mexico or something?
Maybe. I mean, it never. Well, then, and the final scene in the movie, which is also super fast, is just all of the characters at an airport. This is an
looks like it was
actual.
shot in,
It's a
like,
very
20
quick
minutes.
ending.
Yeah.
It just kind of ends.
It's really. This is an actual line from the movie where like Mrs. Brody's like, "You guys be okay? Okay, all right, onto the plane. Okay,
It flies
Michael
away.
Caine and I are together now. Gotta go." And plane takes off. That's it. Movie's
it.
over.
Credits
And I hope
fade out.
she's smart enough to move like to the middle of the country, far away from an ocean too. I hope she's not like going back to Amity or.
well,
sure.
the house has got to go up on market.
Yeah,
She's
it's
got to
like,
kick
you know,
the ass out of
shark-
Mrs. Kintner
the-
for sending that shark down.
The fourth shark.
She
It's
has
the
to get
fourth
her
shark
revenge.
that's been killed. I'm sure there's no other ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just it's cool.
All right, so
But
that,
there's, I'm
we-
sorry, we did not mention one thing that was alluded to earlier, but we didn't come back to it. The shark roaring in pain
Oh yeah, yeah.
at the end. But I mean,
Well,
it's
because it's the
using
same
that
thing from the
old
first
stock roar sound that
Yeah.
you've
Yeah.
heard in dinosaurs and King Kong
it
ripoffs
happens,
for
it happens in the
years.
first
Yep.
movie. When the shark dies, there's a roar and
You're
it's
right.
thrown in the water.
Yes,
but
yes,
in this
it is.
film,
But it's kind of like
But
yeah.
it's not. It's
In
not
this
done
film,
like the sharks.
played
roar.
down.
It's
In
just
in
like
this
it's
film,
for effect.
when the
Yeah.
shark's coming out of the water, it's roaring at them.
Right.
I thought
It's ridiculous.
in my mind, again, trying to make some sense of, I pictured it was like the shark saying, "If only I had arms, I would be getting you guys."
I'll get you next time.
Like,
Well, and then let's now tell why this ending doesn't
When
make
I was a
any
little
sense.
kid, I remember watching when I
Right.
was a little kid. I was probably about 14, 15 years old when I saw Jaws 4 for the first time. And I distinctly remember a horrible plastic shark out of the water, like dancing on his tail,
Yeah.
being
Yeah.
stabbed by the mast of a boat, like
Right.
a wooden boat model, and then the shark being ripped in two and falling down. I distinctly remember this. In fact, I remember there being an explosion then too.
This was the
But-
that was the original ending. The original ending was they in a sequence that you can find it on YouTube. It is beyond description
It's
in
bad.
its in the how bad the special effects is. The transmitter makes the shark stand up out of the water for seemingly
roaring by the
minutes
way.
on end.
He's roaring the
And
entire
This
time.
this shark has like some amazing freaking levitation power.
Oh, yeah.
I
it's
mean,
like-
he's treading water.
Yeah, he's almost-
And they spear it with the front of the boat, and the shark's like shaking after getting hit by it, then crushes the boat.
Right,
So the
boat
shark
sinks.
and the boat sink to the bottom of the
Nothing
ocean.
explodes.
Yeah.
It makes more sense,
Which-
but looks awful.
I would have rather seen that.
You know, that could have left it open for a sequel. You know, it didn't really kill the shark.
yeah,
It
right.
just
Yeah.
wounded him, went down. But yeah, and when I saw that on YouTube, I mean, like when you see how bad it looks,
It looks bad.
you can only imagine what it must have been like for them in the editing room, getting to that point, watching it over and over, showing it to an executive producer, showing it to the studio director. It's
Knowing
like,
that
we
this
got
has
to
to be
do something
distributed.
different.
And the
So
studio,
they're like, oh, just grab the ending from Jaws 1 and just slap it on
when the
there.
studio ordered reshoots, there are actually
Was it reshoots? I didn't see any reshoots.
The
I saw
reshoots
shots
were.
from the first movie.
Here's a little obscure trivia. When I was a kid in 1988, I was in California in Universal Studios, and we went to the pond where they shot the reshoots.
Yeah?
They set up a backdrop to look like the Bahamas behind this pond.
Because I remember the
And they
fake
did-
clouds. I was like, yeah, that's a tank.
They
At the
did
end of the movie,
reshoots,
yeah.
and I believe those reshoots
Which
included
explains
Mario
the blue
Van
water.
Peebles coming back to life, because apparently in the original cut,
it makes sense.
There's
Right.
too many
Wait,
deaths in
right.
this movie.
They really brought him back to life in a reshoot.
I believe so.
It
We
felt
need the
like-
black
it
guy
felt
to
like
crack wise again, otherwise it's just not the 80s.
I believe he's part of it, and it's.
It did feel like a I don't know, like a negative reaction to a screening or something that led to that. Because you see that a lot of
I can
times when
only
a character
imagine
who should be
what
dead is
else
all of a
was
sudden
ignored
alive.
in the notes
Yeah.
that they got from the audiences.
Apparently,
But we have to deal with this.
I read also that apparently there is a storyline. It may I don't know if this was in the novelization, but apparently it was also in the script at one point, which is that a voodoo
curse.
doctor
The voodoo
was
curse, yeah.
angry at the
This is
Brody
legendary.
family, and that the shark was acting under the influence
No
of a
kidding.
voodoo
From the first
doctor.
movie as well. Like this was like retconned. I remember hearing this.
Really?
So this is true.
Yeah.
This isn't rumor.
No, this is true. This is true.
They
I mean,
actually
but
were going to
was
make it
not-
a voodoo priest of some sort.
There was
Holy
going to be a
cow.
storyline involving a voodoo priest who had an vague animosity against the Brodies, and that was the
Maybe for like
reason.
the 18
and the
Again,
shark
that
was
would
under
make
the
more
It'd make more. I would
influence.
say it'd make more sense.
It would
It'd
be
be
stupid,
but it would have
it'd be-
made sense.
more
That is a
sense
great.
in-
By the way, that just summed up this podcast.
Yeah.
That would be stupid, but it would make sense.
It would.
I love that. Yeah.
Because then you have some reason for a shark to swim from Amity down to freaking
Right.
Bahamas,
Like,
and,
yeah,
and
no,
kill
they would
only
be-
Brodies,
Oh
Yeah,
my
it would-
god!
except for
only-
the people who are off balance.
Yeah.
Good God.
So let's to move this forward. Let's go around and just some quick moments, some favorite moments people want to bring up from this movie.
Well, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. You're the guest.
Well, I was just going to say the thing that I loved most of all was just watching just how bad the shark was. Because the whole time I was just thinking the whole time I'm watching, I'm like, as they're making this movie, they're watching it operate. They're watching it like out in the water with like the outside of it wrinkling. They're watching as it's like falling back in the water, like the obvious foam like flipper like bending backwards on itself as it hits the water because it's so less dense. My favorite part of the whole movie was just how bad the shark was and just how it kept falling apart. I mean, like, there's parts where the seams are peeling away. There's chunks of foam taken out of it. Like, when you see it jump out of the water the first time in the Bahamas and it's starting to go down, did anyone see the top of the dorsal fin? It was broken off the top and just wiggling back and forth. I'm just like, but, like, this is the only one we have. And, but they wrote it to be so visible in this movie. It's not like you could have hided it. My wife's an English teacher. You couldn't have hidden it. Because it was written into be launching itself. I mean, this thing was horizontal out of the water. I mean, when it got Melvin Van Peebles, it was coming at him at a downward angle for Pete's sake, So I mean, really, if any one particular moment other than Hoagie saying, "Oh shit," coming out of the plane, is just watching that horrible shark the whole time.
Yeah.
That was it for me.
I think my favorite moments, which are not many in this movie, but would be the multiple flashbacks to the first film, because then I remembered how good of a movie that is, and those are the only good frames in this entire film. So that was my only decent parts.
Did you like how they bastardized it when they redid the scene where the little girl was mimicking her father?
I hated that.
Oh, I forgot to talk about that
was
one.
really
That was like a slap
irritated
in the
me.
first movie's face.
That-
It really was, wasn't it?
I
man?
forgot. I was going to talk about that. That really rubbed me the wrong way.
It really did.
I wanted to turn
I
it
was
off.
really irritated at
Yeah,
that.
it's like don't even reference the
You have
a
no
scene from
world-
the
you have
first
no
one at
way.
all because
Let's do a quick round. Is this, as we like to do on the show, is this so bad it's good? Would you recommend people who like bad movies watch it? I'm going to chime in
yeah.
and say yeah. 'cause
Yes,
this is kind of
absolutely.
classic. I mean, this is kind of... you can't say... It's not the Citizen Kane of bad movies, but I mean, this is a modern classic of bad films, I would say. I mean, this
Yeah.
is...
For me, I think I would definitely. It's kind of double-edged sword, because I would definitely recommend it to anyone who wants to see a bad film. But for me, I didn't think it was so bad it's good. I won't ever watch this one again, I don't think.
Well, the thing
But
that's
I would recommend it to people who are interested in seeing bad films.
the thing that what makes it such a great bad film is also what it represents. It's like why like the reason it's such a great bad film is the reason it exists. It's this last ditch attempt to wring some money out of a franchise that people loved. It existed for no reason other than to just get a few more nickels out of what you possibly could do.
Right.
Take something that was once loved, turn it to crap. And it's just the sequel monster is what it is.
Yeah.
That's why it's awesome, just because of what it represents.
And one of the things too. Oh, go ahead.
I think that just when I recommend this, I would recommend this because, like you said, I think that it is. I recommend it merely because it is the first Jaws movie is in a top 100 best films of all time. Right, in my opinion, it's marvelously constructed. It's phenomenally edited. The acting is great. The special effects are great because they downplay the shark. It was creative. It was interesting. It revolutionized the summer blockbuster as we know it today. And it was this famous movie. It was great. It's loved by generations. Now, this movie is like its antithesis. It's like, let's take that concept and mess it up because we want to make more money, like you had said. So I think that because of that, this is a good example, a prime example of let's take something awesome and make it suck.
Yeah.
Even if that's not their intention.
Yeah.
They just did it. And you can think about this, as Cody kept saying. There's 2 kills in this movie. It's a movie about a killer shark based on the greatest movie about a killer shark ever made, and only 2 people die. Yeah. How do you mess that
Usually
up?
by the 4th movie in a series, the body count has escalated to a ridiculous point where this was just like...
Yeah, the opposite.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
Now we've spent the past hour making fun of this movie. This is the time where we like to let some people chime in who really loved this movie. Going to IMDb. First review I'm going to go to here on IMDb
From the same
is
guy
from
Wonder Skull.
Cody Wolf.
I wish it was that guy from Abduction. That Abduction review was amazing. Banco de Ismith from the United Kingdom. That's their name. And I'm going to read the review as it's written. It says, "People always say this film is awful. Why? Is it not? In fact, it has some of the best shots in the series. We get to see wide shots of the shark eating people and following boats. I agree, the underwater stuff could have been better, but it has the best attack in the Jaws series, the banana boat attack. 10 out of 10 for this very worthy sequel."
Oh my God.
Wow.
And I'm going to go to one more here.
It's just offensive to Spielberg to say that this film has the best shots of the series.
This one comes from Lance from the United States. This might be from Lance Guest. I'm not sure.
It could be.
There was great catering.
It's very vague. His title is Underrated, second best in the series. Lance, I'm going to give you a note. That's really pretty. That's not hard to say in the Jaws series that one is second best because there's only been 4,
Right.
and 3 of them are bad.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
He says, "I just don't see why this film would be in the bottom 100. I realize there are some flaws, but on a whole, I really don't feel this is a bad film at all. The acting was really good. Maureen Gary was really convincing as a paranoid widow. I understand the fact that a great white shark following them to Bermuda..."
Yep, Bermuda.
Got some notes for you on that, but is a little hard to believe. But this film is basically about how the Brody family, for some reason, have always been cursed by sharks. It's also about confronting your fears. There are some great things going on in this film, and I think people should back off and take a look at the film and forget about all the hatred it undeservedly gets. Thanks, Lance.
Wow.
I'm glad you checked in with that. Again, if that is Lance Guest, I just want to say I love your work in Last Starfighter. I don't want to lose you. True fan. So this is a tough one. This is really an interesting film.
Well, and then I was talking about before with you, was which one do people here think anyway is worse, 3 or 4?
Well, spoiler alert,
seen
3
3.
may come up on this show. I
because-
don't think we can rule
You know
out
what?
that
We may-
3.
we may-
3 was
come-
really bad. I mean, that was really... This one, in some senses, has more. I don't know what word I'm trying to say.
More depth.
A little class.
Maybe more depth. Maybe
depth.
maybe more story. I don't know, but
Because like with the third one, it was all boobs
It's all
and 3D.
gimmick. It's
This
all
one,
gimmick.
hey, it was about the shark.
Right, this one had maybe a little more story to it. Maybe.
A lot of
I'd
psychological
have to see
terror.
it. I'd really have to see 2 and 3, and I think we should do a roundtable and see once and for all which one of these, at least from our perspective, which one of these is the worst sequel. I would say.
By the way,
this
in the business, that's what they call a tease. Thanks.
This one, I agree with Cody. This one is incredibly boring. There are 2 kills that we thought there was a third, but it wasn't.
Yeah.
And I think for that alone, because at least the third one is fun to watch. This one had a lot more. This one I felt bored more often, but I don't know. It's been a while since I've seen the third one
Good
as
movie.
well.
You don't have to have kills.
That's
You look at
true.
original
A killer
Jaws.
shark
But you also need.
Yeah,
You
but
also,
Original Jaws has.
you also need
how many
suspense.
kills?
You also
Couple
need
of it
terror.
says-
You
Yeah.
also need shocks.
This movie,
You also
there's,
need.
there's never any danger in this movie because none of the main characters die.
4 in jars.
Jars?
Well,
4
well,
in
the
jars.
sunrise.
But
I'm wondering
There's
when
a lot of-
Sci-Fi
there's a lot
Channel's
more.
going to do Jaws 5.
But the original movie did not have a random virtuoso performance of a cab driver singing Christmas carols. I mean,
So few
to
do.
Me, yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, you just don't.
it's
there's-
true.
oh my God! Well, I'm just thinking about the limo driver character from Die Hard.
Oh yeah, yeah.
He's driving the car. He's playing Christmas in Hollis.
It was like a play off of that. All right, as we wrap this up, I wanted to go to a couple emails we had gotten here at Stop the Movie. You can send us emails at comments@stopthemoviepodcast.com. And this is actually a spoiler alert. This is from Tony DePaulvere, who checked in. And the spoiler is Tony DePaulvere will definitely be joining the show at some point with a movie that... I don't want to announce the movie yet, but it is another bad movie classic that he'll be joining us for. And he's commenting on the Over the Top episode, a.k.a. the arm wrestling movie. Checking in with Tony DePaulvere saying, one of my big fears when I shaved my head was that it would look like Bull Hurweys, the bad guy in the movie. Which is to say, like there was a package of hot dogs on the back. Which is, that's a pretty... That was one of the makeup effects. And I've got one more here from Tony, if I can access this. Let me see here. Oops, I just having some technical issues.
That pack of hot dogs look on the back of the... you realize that like on that movie there had to have been a makeup person constantly getting rid of the sweat and powdering that down.
Well, they were adding sweat to the front. They were probably drying the sweat in the back. And like, everyone's soaked in that movie when you see it. Like, everyone's just, like, dripping all the time. Another one from Tony, also about... this is his other comment on Over the Top. And he makes a great point. I think we talked about this in it, but I'm not sure. Tony says, let me get this straight. The buy-in to the arm wrestling tournament, in which the grand prize is a truck, is the equivalent to the value of a truck. Which is a great point.
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
Yeah, that really does make you wonder if there was true value in people entering the arm
Somebody's
wrestling
making some money.
tournament. Yeah. I might be able to win a truck back. I'm going to sell my truck to enter in hopes I can win a truck. Yeah. Another epic movie. I believe our next movie, I can give you a preview of what our next movie is going to be the Matt LeBlanc classic.
Oh no!
Ed, which if you don't know Ed, it is to describe it basically. Matt LeBlanc is a professional baseball player whose teammate happens to be a monkey. It is a film that probably damaged children in the mid-90s, that there are probably kids who are still recovering from. It is painful, and we are looking forward to enjoying every minute of it, possibly with another special guest. And also upcoming, I think we might be making a return to M. Night Shyamalan territory.
Let's do it.
What one? We're going to do The Happening?
I think it will be The Happening.
Oh no!
And you'll have somebody.
Man.
Oh no!
You'll have somebody on M. Night's side on this one.
Yeah,
Dude, I'm not telling you, there's only 2 movies in this world that I've ever paid for and walked out of. That was 50% of them.
See, I like that one. That one I like.
The other one was Black Sheep with Chris Farley. I walked over to Muppet Treasure Island and took a nap.
That's a good choice. So yeah, big stuff upcoming here. And let's go around. Jack, by the way, is on Twitter. They can follow Jack on Twitter.
I'm making notes to various movies that I watch on Twitter. I did not do Jaws: The Revenge. However, I will do Ed.
And Jack, what's your Twitter handle?
It's at Jack Estabrook. JACKESTABROOK.
Okay, and you can also like our Facebook page. We're on Facebook at Stop the Movie. I Want to Get Out. You can follow me on Twitter at Alex Dunbar News. Tim, do you have anything you'd like to plug?
You can follow me down at the Alpine. No, not really.
You can follow me down at the Alpine.
Nothing to plug.
All right. That is our show. We'll be back very soon. I want to thank Tim for being here. Tim, our very first ever special guest
Oh, really?
star.
Oh, thank you. This was a
Always
genuine
known
delight.
as
This was
the
a real
first.
treat. Thank
Yeah,
you
yeah.
very much.
known as the first.
Yeah. I feel like, it's like that first time we've really brought in like a big name guest star for the show.
I'm your Abe Vigoda.
That's right. That's right. And yeah, that's about it for this week. We will be back very soon. Again, send your emails to comments@stopthemoviepodcast.com and like us on Facebook. Thanks.